The smartest giant in town. It is from Julia Donaldson.
Huh?
Can you see the giant?
Yes.
Where? I didn't see his face.
Of course.
Why? Where is his body?
Up
there.
here.
Oh, okay, somewhere up there that I can't see. Okay, this is George. George was a giant. The scruffiest giant in town. He always wore the same pair of old brown sandals and the same old patched up gown. Can you see the hole on his gown?
Yes.
It was many years ago. He said, I wish I wasn't the scruffiest giant in town. But one day, George noticed a new shop opened. The shop selling the giant's clothes. It was full of smart clothes, so he bought something from the shop. He bought a smart shirt, a smart pair of trousers, smart belts, a smart stripy tie, and some smart socks with the diamond ring up the side, and a pair of smart shiny shoes in black. He said, okay, after I get changed now, I'm the smartest giant in town, he said proudly. George left his old stuff behind the shop. The old gown and the old sandal just left it in the shop. He was about to go home when he heard a sound. Some voice? What is that? On the pavement stood a giraffe who was sneezing sadly. What's the matter? Asked George. It's about my neck, said the giraffe. It's so very long and so very cold. I wish I had a long warm scarf. Cheer up, said George, and he took off his stripy tie that he just bought. It didn't match my socks anyway, okay, so I'm going to give it away. As he would eat round and round the giraffe's neck, it made a wonderful scarf. Thank you, said the giraffe. As George strode towards home, he said to himself, my tie is a scarf for a good, cold giraffe. But look me up and down, I'm still the smartest giant in town. I still look good, even I just give up my tie to the giraffe. I have my smart shirt and my smart trousers. When George came to a river, on a boat stood a goat who was bleating loudly. What's the matter? Asked George. It's my sail, said the goat, but it blew away in a storm. I wish I had a strong new sail for my boat, said the goat. Cheer up, said George, and he took off his new white shirt. It's keep coming untucked anyway, he said. As he tightened it to the mast of the goat boat, it made a magnificent sail. Thank you, said the goat. So now, without the shirt, George strode on, singing to himself. My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, and my shirt is on the boat as a sail for a goat. But look me up and down, I am the smartest giant in town. Do I look good?
Yes.
Yes, I look so smart. But as George came to a tiny roomlit house, beside the house stood a white mouse, the mommy mouse, with lots of baby mice there. They were all squeaking. What's the matter? Asked George. Mommy said, it's our house, squeaked the mud mouse. It's burned down and now we have nowhere to live. I wish we had a nice new house again. Cheer up, said George, and he took off one of his shiny shoes. It was giving me a blister anyway, he said, as the mouse and her babies scrambled inside. The shoes make a perfect home for them. Thank you, they squeaked. Without the shoes, so now George has to hop along the road now. But he didn't mind. As he hopped up, he said to himself, My tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, and my shirt is on a boat as a sail for a goat. Now my shoes is a house for a little white mouse. But look me up and down. I am the smartest giant in town.
I think so.
You think so? Now George came up to a campsite. They set up the campsite here. Besides a tank, stand a fox who was crying. What's the matter? Asked George. Fox asked. It was my sleeping bag, but unfortunately I dropped it in a puddle and it got wet and muddy. I wish I had a warm, dry sleeping bag tonight. So what do you think George is going to do?
I don't know.
Do you have any suggestion? No. Cheer up, said George, as he took off one of his socks with a diamond up the sides. It was tickling my toes anyway, he said, as the fox snuggled into it. It made a very fine sleeping bag. Thank you, said the fox. With the shoes and socks, George hopped on, saying to himself, my tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe, and my shirt is on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoes is a house for a little white mouse, and one of my socks is a bag for a fox. But look me up and down. I am the smartest giant in town. Does he look good now?
Yes.
Yes, still good. What a kind person. So when George came to a big screechy boat, beside the boat stood a dog who was howling. What's the matter? Asked George. This dog, said the dog. I need to get across, but I keep getting stuck in the mud. I can't go back home. I wish there was a safe, dry path the way home. Every time when the dog needs to pass by, he jumps into the puddle and gets himself all wet and muddy. So what do you think George is going to have?
Her own.
His own.
Just the mud in here and then.
He lay down on the puddle so that the dog can cross on his body.
Yes.
Well, that would be a good idea. Let me see. Cheer up, said George. And he took off his smart new belt. Okay, similar to your idea, but he didn't need to lay down by himself. He put his belt down. It was squashing my tummy anyway, he said. As he laid it down over the board, it makes an excellent path. Thank you, said the dog. The wind started to blow, but George didn't mind. He hopped on, saying to himself, my tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. My shirt is on a boat as a sail for a goat. My shoes is a house for a little white mouse. And one of my socks is a bag for a fox. And now, my belt helped a dog who was crossing a board. But when he hopped, what's going on? Oh no, my trousers are falling down. I'm the coldest giant in town. It's getting cold. And my trousers keep falling down. Suddenly, George felt so sad and shivering and not all that smart. He stood on one foot and thought, I think I have to go back to the shop and buy some more new clothes, he decided. So he turned around and hopped off all the way back to the shop. Boom, 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 boom. I think the shop is somewhere here. That would be a long way to go. But when he got there, it was closed. Oh no, cried George. He sank down onto the doorstep and a tear ran down his nose. He felt as sad as all the animals he had met on his way home. Then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a big yellow bag with something familiar poking out of the top. So George took a closer look into it. Oh, that's my gown, he yelled. My dear old gown and my dear old brown sandals. George put them on. They felt wonderfully comfortable. I am the coziest giant in town, he cried. And he danced back home along the road. He felt so happy and comfortable wearing his old clothes. Before he entered the house, just outside his front door, stood all the animals he had helped. They were carrying an enormous present. For them, the present is enormous because it's too big. It's
Who
even
draw
bigger
this?
Together with a letter. This one.
No, I said me.
Who drew this one? Let me see. Come on, George, they said. Open it. George untied the ribbon. Inside was a beautiful gold paper crown and a card. The animal said, Hey George, look inside the card. We drew this. So George put the crown on his head and opened the card. Inside the card it says, Your tie is a scarf for a cold giraffe. Look at the giraffe. It's cute. And your shirt is on a boat as you sail for a goat. He made the wrong spelling of the sail and he crossed out the S. It should be the other way around. And your shoes is a house for a little white mouse. One of your socks is a bed for a fox. And your belt held a dog who was crossing a board. So here is a very fine crown to go with the sandals and gown of our kindest giants in town. George, you are so kind to us. This is our present for you. And thank you. This is the end of the story. Goodbye, George. Do you want to write this letter? We can actually take our paper and can read it.
I think this is so cute. 我估係其他人寫咗，佢哋寫㗎。
I think this is from a kid who was 6 years old.
So it's me.
It's you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's from you. Thank you.